Foundational Black Americans are constantly always being tied to other people's groups. We're always being connected. And this time, we're just sitting on the couch, minding our own business. ICE is out here deporting illegal immigrants, doing their thing. And you consistently see people trying to force the issue and force to make us, as foundational Black Americans, tied to the struggles of illegal immigrants.
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters, welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I'm your host, Afro Elite. I appreciate you all for being here with us this evening. We have much to discuss. Now, we got a lot to cover. And before we get started, because we're going to get started real quick right ahead, and I appreciate all of you all for being here. Before we do, what we have to do is we have to establish for YouTube that everything we play here will be protected under the guise of fair use. So I'm going to play the copyright disclaimer. And as I'm doing that, what I would appreciate for you all to do is to hit that like button. Double check, make sure you're subscribed, have your notification bell turned on, all that good stuff. All right, we'll be right back. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So we know for a fact that ICE is going around doing what their job is in deporting people who are not supposed to be in this country. We know that for a fact. They're not supposed to be here. Yet, every single time this has happened, you've seen foundational Black Americans on the front lines protesting for them to stay here, for them to occupy our space and be in our country and be in our cities and all of that stuff. Now, this is something different. Now you're seeing something different. Now you're seeing that foundational Black Americans are sitting this one out. Now we're all like, you know what? Y'all got your own problems. We have our problems. And when we look at things realistically, y'all really not supposed to be here like that in the first place. So we're taking this step back. And now that we're taking a step back and we're not on the front lines for other people and other people's issues that, mind you, are kind of counterproductive to our issues as a collective. Now that we're not doing that, now we're starting to see that there's not really no big support. There's not really no big counter against ICE. There's no support for them to stay here like that. Without foundational Black Americans on the front lines protecting them and fighting their fight, they really have no defense. So you have people who are trying to make false and artificial stretches and reaches and making comparisons to slavery and illegal immigration and deportation. Now, I've seen this a minute ago, so I'm glad we're here to discuss this now. You have Ana Navarro from The View. She was on CNN, and she compares illegal immigrants to slaves. Now, we already played the copyright disclaimer, so everything should be protected, but here we go.
Letting people walk into here without any process at all, and now you're trying to gum up the works to keep them here.
A lot of them came in. A lot of them came in with parole. A lot of them came in.
CNN polling shows 54% of Americans want Mr.
November
Abrego
polling showed
Garcia
Donald
back.
Trump won the
That's
election.
CNN
so
polling.
well, you know,
the public is shifting.
All right. We are a sovereign nation, and you cannot just come into our country illegally whenever the heck you want, because we can't do it to any other country on the face of this earth.
Asylum is a legal right.
If you come in illegally, you have to leave. Americans are tired of that. We do not have unlimited resources.
You know who was here illegally with a deportation order? Marco Rubio's grandfather.
All right,
We're not talking about Marco Rubio.
Oh, now we're not? Now that's not relevant?
It's not
No,
relevant.
I'm talking about Marco
It's not
Rubio because
relevant to this
Marco
conversation
Rubio
at all.
used to be an advocate for TPS for Venezuelans, and Marco Rubio used
Well,
to be
I'm not Marco
an
Rubio,
advocate
and
for
let me
Nicaraguans
tell you
and
my
Cubans.
beliefs.
No,
If
I
you
know
come
you're
into
not.
this country illegally, you are going home. Simple as that. We do not
Listen,
have unlimited resources
I think
in
a
this
lot of
country
Americans-
to take care of other
There's
people.
a hell of a lot of
Hold on,
people,
guys.
other than the black
First,
people who were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally.
They're
From a
not
lot
the
of
same as
different-
black.
Okay. The black people who are slaves who came to this country illegally. I just want you to pause that. All right. To push back, because she's saying this specifically to him, because he is, from what I know a Black American. Just want to emphasize. Now it goes off from here. It goes off from here. I'm going to take it back like a second or two and then let it play for the rest of the way. Then we're going to discuss it.
Were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally.
They're not the same as black people who were brought here against our will.
That's exactly what I just said. I said there is a lot of people
There's a big difference. There is a big difference.
That's exactly what I just said. That's exactly what I just said, Sir Michael. You can act indignant. That's exactly what I just said.
Let me just share, Michael.
Other than the black people
and share, Michael,
as slaves, there are a lot of people from many countries
I think you actually misheard what she. I think you misheard what she said.
No, he purposely misheard.
She said.
Yes, she did.
So now you're in my
Share,
brain?
Michael, listen to me for just a second.
Is that where we're going?
You think
Michael,
I would say I who have advocated for black people my entire life would say something like that?
Because you've advocated for black people, great, congratulations.
When has she advocated for black people her entire life? Okay, let me just let it play.
Last time I checked, I'm black, you're not.
Okay, Share, Michael.
That's right. I'm Latino and my people are being racially profiled.
It is.
And do I have to remind you the history of my people?
Share,
do you want to go there?
No, I don't.
Do you really want to go
we're
there?
going to go to break. We're going to go to break. Raul Reyes, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh yeah, they didn't stop. They didn't stop that. They was going at. Now, what's interesting, I want you guys to understand how when black people, they feel like, and this is the problem that we've had with previous generations. This is the problem that you have when you help people too much. Okay. When you help people too much, people start to feel entitled to your assistance. People start to feel entitled to your advocacy. People feel entitled to foundational Black Americans going out there, saving the day for all these other people. That's how she feels. So the second that we stop, the second we fall back, the second we say, you know what, y'all problem is y'all problem, y'all got it, we cool, we gonna mind our own business, and we're gonna really keep the same energy that you all have been keeping, to be honest, a little bit less, because you guys have been notoriously anti-black for the longest time. But we're not gonna sit up here and jump out the woodworks. We're not going to sit up here and jump on the front lines to defend you guys. You start to see a lot of this anti-blackness that comes out. You start to see how they truly feel about black people starting to come out. When they feel like, okay, well, if there's no benefit in pretending that I like you, I might as well tell you the truth. That's how they start to get. They get like that. There was absolutely no need to even bring slavery up in this situation. There are people, and you're trying to make it seem Marco Rubio and all of that stuff. No, that ain't got nothing to do with millions of people bum rushing the border and crossing into the country completely illegally. They have no legal precedent to be in here, no legal reason to be in here. They're taking up a lot of resources. Chicago is bankrupt. New York is bankrupt. Denver, all of these places are struggling right now. Okay, all of these major cities are on life support because of them. Now the citizens, the tax-paying citizens who are legally supposed to be here, now we have to make up for all of the damage that's been caused by their presence being here. And like the brother said, we wouldn't be able to do this in other countries. Let's take it back. Let's take this back right here.
Any other country on the face
asylum
of this
is a legal
earth.
right.
If you come in illegally, you have to leave. Americans are tired of that. We do not have unlimited resources.
You know who was here illegally with a deportation order? Marco Rubio's grandfather.
All right, let's.
Now, as you can see, she doesn't have a retort to that. We don't have unlimited resources. When we talk about the resources, yes, clearly, if there's not a plan, if they're not contributing to the economy, that means that they're taking. They're taking from the economy. We've been on this channel doing this for the last few years. That's what they've been doing. So, and her retort is talking about Marco Rubio. What does that have to do with anything?
We're not talking about Marco Rubio.
Oh, now we're not? Now that's not relevant?
It's not
no,
relevant.
I'm talking about Marco Rubio because
Marco
Marco Rubio used to be an advocate for TPS for Venezuelans, and Marco Rubio used to be
an
advocate for Nicaraguans and Cubans. No, I know you're not.
If you come into this country illegally, you are going home. Simple as that. We do not have unlimited resources.
I think
in
a
this
lot of
country
Americans
to take care of other
There's
people.
a hell of a lot of people,
guys.
other than the black people who were brought here as slaves, who came to this country illegally.
They're not the same as black people who were brought here against.
Now, she said there's a hell of a lot of people who came here other than the black people as slaves who came here illegally. That may be true. Okay. Here's the thing, and this is why we talk about what we talk about. Here, right? We didn't come first off there, and we've discussed this so many times on this very channel. The fact that there were black people here before, and the reason why we keep trying to make this emphasis, we keep trying to say this. I got to get this off the screen because I want you guys to feel me when I say this. The reason why we keep saying and showing indigenous history here before, the fact that bothers everybody is because it defeats the narrative that we were not here, and it makes us uncomparable to all of these immigrants who came here later. Because when you say, well, black people, the only presence of black people being here was after Europeans brought black people here, then that means there were no black people here, and the only people here were Mongoloid Native Americans. That means that foundational black Americans, you guys are comparable to immigrants. That's not the truth. We were here before Europeans were here. Even the European explorers testified to this. In their documents and their diaries, they've also there's some Negroes here. Now, who knew? It was a bunch of black folk here. The Mongoloid Native Americans, scientifically, they came later. I've shown you guys actual scientific evidence that there were Negro people, you want to call them Negro, you want to call them black, you want to call them whatever you want to call them, here before, that nobody can refute. Nobody can refute the fact that the statues look like black folk. The statues don't look like Mongoloid Native American. Nobody can refute that. Nobody can refute that the hieroglyphs look like us and not like them. Nobody can refute that the actual skeletons look like us and not like them. Nobody can refute those things. So how is it even a conversation at this point in 2025 that we weren't here prior to slavery? Okay. How was that? Let me show you guys, if you guys have not seen, because we got a lot of new people. So let me reinforce. Hold on. Let me show you guys no, is that it? No, that's not it. Hold on. Let me see something. Look at this.
To me, it's a Negroid face that has all the features that you associate with a Negroid face. The proportions of the face, it doesn't say anything about it being Mongoloid.
Luthia belongs to a race found historically along the rim of the Indian Ocean, in East Africa, in the islands of South Asia, and in Australia and Melanesia. Was this then the face of a first American? Her reconstruction is confirmed by measurements Walter Nevis has taken of all his skulls.
I don't even gotta, and I've already did a live stream about that. Now, if you guys have any scientific evidence to, first off, that's all we need. Even if you do find proof of some type of Mongoloid skeleton that is older than that skeleton, Lucia woman, that's the name of the skeleton, right? Even if you do find proof of that, that skeleton alone verifies the fact that we were here centuries prior to Europeans in the transatlantic slave trade. So right there, that defeats the narrative. Now, is this saying that there were absolutely no slave ships and that was a total myth and that was a total lie and none of that stuff ever happened and nobody from Africa came to the new land or America? That is not saying that, okay? We have to have the maturity to understand that sometimes two things can both be correct, all right? there might not just be one answer to a very complex history such as slavery. However, one thing may be more correct than the other thing. And the one thing that is more correct than the other thing, based off of the numbers, based off of science, based off of logic, really, is the fact that there were a large black presence here prior to European expansion, prior to Europeans coming here, and we were the native indigenous black folk, Negro folk were forced into slavery. Okay, so that's what makes the most sense. After that, then you had breeding farms and stuff, but that's not necessarily what we're here to talk about. But the science verifies that. And unless you have some type of scientific evidence that refutes it, it's not. But this is why we bring it up, and they don't like us bringing it up, because they can't say, well, everybody else came here after everybody else came here illegally. We didn't come here. We were already here. So that completely throws Navarro.
Exactly what I just said. I said there is.
I think a lot of Americans
to take care of other people.
There's a hell of a lot of
Hold on,
people
guys.
other than the black people who were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally.
They're not the same as black people who were brought here against our will.
That's exactly what I just said.
I said there is a lot of people
there's a big difference.
There is a big difference.
That's exactly what I just said.
Difference.
That's exactly what I just said, Sir Michael. Look and act indignant. That's exactly what I just said.
Yes, it is. Let me just share, Michael.
Other than the black
Anna and share, Michael.
There are a lot of people from
Share,
many,
Michael, I think
many
you actually
countries that came
misheard
here
what
illegally.
I think you misheard what she said.
No, he purposely misheard it.
She said.
I purposely
misheard.
So now you're in my
Share,
brain?
Michael, listen to me for just a second.
Is that where we're going?
You
Share,
think
Michael,
I would
listen to me
say
for a
I would have
second.
advocated
Anna,
for black
please
people
stop.
my entire life and
Anna,
say something like that?
Anna,
Give me a
Because
damn
you've
break.
advocated for black
Anna,
people,
please
great.
stop.
Congratulations. Last time I checked, I'm black. You're not.
Okay, Share, Michael.
That's right. I'm Latino, and my people are being racially profiled.
It is.
And
And do I have to remind you the history of my people?
Are your people being racially I mean, I think it's a stretch to say they've been racially profiled. I think because Hispanic is not a race technically. And no, I mean, they are being targeted, but a lot of them are also illegal. So I mean, come on now.
Share,
Do you
Michael.
want to go there?
I don't.
Do you really
Okay,
want to go
we're
there?
gonna
I
go
never
to break.
had
the
one.
history.
Raul, we're going to go to break. Raul Reyes, thank you very much for joining us.
And then I've been advocating for black people my whole life. So that means you get to say something offensive and anti-black because you claim you've been advocating for black people your whole life, which I've never seen you do. I don't know if you're doing anything that's been for black people. Let me address this real quick, okay? The Orange Pill Nurse. Shout out to the Orange Pill Nurse, all right? Appreciate this contribution. Says, migrants contribute to workforce, pay taxes, boosting our tax revenue while not getting what they pay in. Economists agree immigration helps economy. Other than Republican rhetoric, show data and math that supports your claim. Okay, I can do that, and I've done that several times actually on this channel, several times. Let me say this. Let me be abundantly clear with this. All right. Thank you to that. Let me answer your question in the most logical and respectful way possible. Is immigration and illegal immigration the same thing? No, it is not the same thing. We keep having this thing where we compare illegal immigrants who have bum rushed the border and who are crawling under barbed wire and sneaking into the country and don't have a visa, don't have a work visa, don't have a student visa, don't have none of that stuff. And we're comparing that with immigrants who go through all of the paperwork, do all of the red tape and all of that stuff to legally be in the country and are actually legally contributing to the country. We're making it seem like those two groups of people are the same. That's not the same. With the whole ICE deportation, what ICE is focusing on are the people who in the last few years or so have just bum rushed this country, and they're here by the millions. They're here and they're not helping the economy, because if they were helping the economy, Chicago wouldn't be in no massive debt. New York wouldn't be in no massive debt. Denver wouldn't be in no massive debt. Boston wouldn't be in no massive debt. These major cities that's been housing them and subsidizing them wouldn't be in no tremendous debt if they were this just humongous boom to the economy that you guys claim that they are. They're clearly not. So right there, that just defeats that argument. That's defeating your argument. I show you the proof. The mayor of New York has already confirmed that. That's all of the proof I need that they are a strain to the economy. The mayor of New York has already confirmed it. It's already been confirmed. There's no need to argue about something that's already been well established. Okay. Let me get to the other super chat because there's still more we got to talk about. Still, we really got to get into it a little bit more, y'all. Shout out to my sister Felisa. Okay. Felisa says, we Black, specifically foundational Black Americans, FBAs, contribute to the work force also. That's very true. This is very accurate. I know for a fact I have many, and many of us. What's the problem? We do. Do we need them here to quote unquote contribute to the economy? Economists do say, yeah, they contribute to the economy. What are the same economists saying about the major debt that these cities are under? These economists that are speaking on it, because you have economists who are speaking on it for immigrants, and then you have economists who are saying that are strained. So economists can be biased. Do you understand? They can be. And what we're saying is, let's not compare actual legal immigration to illegal immigration. That's what we're talking about. And you guys can't really vouch for illegal immigration, so you're trying to make it synonymous with legal immigration. We just won't allow that. All right. Now, I want to get to this thing. So, if you guys have seen, the mayor of Newark has been arrested by ICE. So I want you guys to see, there was like, what the hell? Let me see. I want you guys to see there was like a some type of protest thing going on right here. This was at a ICE detention center, and at the ICE detention center, you had a whole bunch of Black Congress people, and you had the mayor of New York, who is currently running for governor. The mayor of New York is currently Newark. I don't want to say New York because that's Eric Adams. He's running for governor. So this is his way of trying to, I guess, get his name out there. And we're going to establish that a little bit later on. This is his way of getting arrested, crashing out, because this is what Black politicians do. All right. You don't see anybody else doing stuff like this at all. You never do. You don't ever see any white politician doing all of this stuff, this crash dummy stuff. You don't even see Hispanic immigrants doing all of this crash dummy stuff. You literally only see Black politicians getting out here, going on the front lines, protest, getting arrested. You only see this crash out, crash dummy behavior from the Black ones. That's the only time you see it. When you look at this is just, I mean, come on now. These are, get your hands off of her. Get your, if y'all not even, if y'all would get out the, what are y'all doing? Because y'all want to quote unquote, this is all for the fact that they want to quote unquote go inside and check on the wellness of all of the illegals there. They want to go inside and I guess see if all of the stuff is up to date. All of this, I mean, this is just, this is sad. This is sad. to say the least.
I'm not letting you cannot push. You cannot push. You cannot push.
So as you can see right there, the mayor of New York, Newark, he's being arrested. He's being detained. They're sitting up there struggling. They're damn near in a fist fight with ICE for really no reason whatsoever. They're damn near in a fist fight with ICE to go into a ICE detention center, and he got arrested because technically he's not a congressperson. He wasn't supposed to be in there. He snuck in there. He snuck back out, and he got arrested for trespassing. So that's what the prosecution is saying happened, right? All right. So he gets arrested, and look, just taking this back. This is what we can get. Now, we've never seen any type of struggle like this. We've never seen anybody crash out like this over black people. I'm talking about black people whose lives were taken by police officers. Black people whose lives were taken by in mass shootings by white supremacists. Okay, they can go into a grocery store and they can just gun down black folk all they want to. They can do whatever they want to black people. Black people face literally the most hate crimes in this country by rate, by percentage, by per capita, however you want to calculate it. Black people face the most struggles when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to housing, when it comes to employment, when it comes to everything you can think of. Black people face the highest rate of it when it comes to everything you can think of. And this type of behavior that they do, this type of crashing out that they do, you've never seen anything remotely close to this being done on behalf of foundational Black Americans. You've never seen this. This damn near sacrifice. They do all of these damn near humiliation rituals for other groups of people. Okay, this is pathetic. So the mayor, we're gonna get you. The mayor, he gets out, and now he's on a damn publicity tour. So we're gonna play some of his clips from the news from ABC. So here we go.
The mayor of Newark joins me now.
Now, mind you, very important context, very, very important. He's running for governor. Okay, so to him, I'm not going to say it was staged, but I'm not going to rule out that it was staged because it would make sense that it would be staged. It would make sense. I'm just going to say it would make sense that he deliberately tries to get arrested. Every time we see a crash out when it comes to a black politician or who are always on the Democrat side. Okay. Just keep that in mind. Anytime we see this crash out, we always see them after the crash out, they go on a publicity tour. Well, you saw that with Al Gray. Now he's doing this interview left and right. Now he's on the Breakfast Club. Now he's doing this. Now he's doing that. Every time there's a arrest, now the Breakfast Club is featuring them. Now ABC is featuring them. Now they got an exclusive interview with CNN. So, of course, if you want to get your name out there, now I'm not saying it's fake, but let's just put all of the evidence there and let's find out what the most logical conclusion is. And to me, from what I'm seeing here, the most logical conclusion is the fact that, yeah, you are running for Newark. You, first off, you want to make your donors happy and you want to make them smile and you want to show them that you'll play ball. That's all that is. You want to show them that you'll play ball. This is a sacrifice. Okay. You got to kind of sacrifice your dignity to a degree in order to get to that next level in politics. You do. And this is also a way to get your name out there. Now you're trending. Now you got people making TikTok videos about you. Now you got people talking about you, people who didn't know who you were prior to this day. So it's advantageous for your political aspirations for you to do this crash out stunt. And this is what he has to say with that.
The mayor of Newark joins me now.
I'm going to get to the super chats in a second. I appreciate you all.
joins me now. Mayor, glad you could be with me. First, I want you to, of course, address the critics that say this was just a publicity stunt to help boost your run for governor. Your response?
I went there for a press conference. Unless Alina Habba and Donald Trump is on my campaign committee, then I don't understand how it was a political stunt. I went down there for a campaign, a press conference with the congressional delegation. They allowed me entry into the property, and then Homeland Security, after an hour and a half of me standing there, said that they wanted me to leave the property. I, in fact, left the property. If you watch a video, you can see I left the property. Then they came outside of the property and arrested me outside the property on the public side. On property, in fact, that's private property and not federal property at all. So
is that what we saw in the video, y'all? Is that what we saw in the video? The way he's saying the story, he's making it seem like he was woke. He went there for a press conference that we didn't see. We didn't see no press conference. Okay. Looked like a protest, not a press conference, but he claimed it was a press conference. He went there for a press conference, and during this press conference, okay, that he went there for this press conference, then he was welcomed in, not as a congressperson, but just as a mayor. He was welcomed in. He went in, he did his inspection and all that stuff. And then he went out peacefully and everything was hunky-dory and everything was everything. And then they just turned around and went all like, you know what? I'm going to arrest you. Is this what we saw in the video? Or was he damn near in a fist fight with ICE, struggling with them? And what the prosecution is saying, he was never allowed to go in there. He went in there, he snuck in there, and he wasn't supposed to be in, so he was arrested for that. He was there for a press conference. Dude, please.
Being arrested for federal trespass is just incorrect.
Okay. Being arrested for federal trespass is incorrect. Like I'm saying, all of this stuff, yeah, of course you're gonna do this because the crash outs are advantageous for you. It shows the party and the donors of the party that, hey, I'm ready to throw my safety away, throw my livelihood away, throw my freedom away for illegal immigrants who couldn't vote for me even if they were free at all. All of the I'm really to throw it away. It's just gone. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. That's what he's showing. And this is also now he before, why would ABC want to do an interview with him? Why would CNN want to do an interview with him? Why would MSNBC want to do an interview with him? Why would these places want to do an interview with him? Now that he's gotten arrested and it's been on camera, now it's trending, now it's viral. Of course, now they want to do an interview with him. All of this stuff is just conveniently very advantageous for his political aspirations. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. But he goes on, and there's more. There's more, y'all. So we all know, and we've discussed this before, the Native Land podcast. All right. This is with Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, and Andrew Gillum. So they're on there saying, and they're talking about the Black struggle with illegal immigration. So you guys know, for copyright protection, I have edited this video. So it's going to be different, but the video has been edited just for copyright claim, for purposes and stuff, for protection. All right, here we go.
I wanted your opinion.
Oh, come on now.
I was saying.
All right, there we go.
Get to weigh in because I wanted your opinion on this, Angela. I was saying,
hold on.
You and I
Before
talked about it a little bit.
Before we get started there, let me get to the super chat real fast. The Orange Pill again says illegal / undocumented immigrants pay taxes too, sir. Not just legal ones. Next question. Okay, well, tell that to the mayor of New York then. That's all I got to do. Tell that to the mayor of New York, who's been begging Biden to do something. They pay all these taxes. There's benefit to society, yet everywhere they go, the city crashes. I just explain that one to me. That's your question. That's my question for you. How about that?
Week about all the people who the very get to weigh in because I wanted your opinion on this, Angela. I was saying, you and I talked about it a little bit this week, about all the people who, the very reason that Mayor Ras Baraka was even at this private prison, because it's a place where they are, Andrew gave us great context, but it's a place where they're housing undocumented, according to the government. I don't trust everything they say, but according to them, it's a place where they're housing undocumented immigrants. And I brought up the fact that we hear so many times in comments on our page and just for me in conversation with people, well, that ain't my problem. I'm minding my black business. That's who they voted for. I'm minding my black business. And I have to remind people all the time, undocumented immigrants cannot vote. They did not vote. And then when you look at the data, every community of color voted overwhelmingly for Kamala Harris, including the Latino community. Donald Trump was able to make inroads and gains among Latino men, but the Latino community as a whole. But even that aside,
every community of color, first off, Foundation Black Americans, we really sat the vote out. The ones who did vote, they voted, but we sat the we collectively we sat it out. The black turnout, which they don't want to talk about, the black turnout was very low. The Hispanic turnout, even if it's not the majority, every time Donald Trump has ran, he's gained more Hispanic votes collectively. Now, you want to talk about illegal immigrants can't vote, not for the federal election, but they, and I mean the Democratic Party, are making legislation and are trying to push for legislation that allows them to be able to vote, at least for the local election. And they can understand power comes from the bottom up. So if they have control and they have this gridlock on the local elections and everything, that's going to help them on the federal level if they have the power on the local elections. So they want all of these immigrants to be able to vote. That's why the whole voting rights and voting laws and all of that stuff that they've been pushing, that they claim are for FBA, but are really not for FBA, or for illegal immigrants. All right. It's not our business. The Hispanic community did vote for them. They did. Come on now. Let's not lie, Tiffany. Let's not lie.
Immigrants cannot vote. They did not vote. And then when you look at the data, every community of color voted overwhelmingly for Kamala Harris, including the Latino community. Donald Trump was able to make inroads and gains among Latino men, but the Latino community as a whole. But even that aside, it's got to be our fight. So I'm just curious on the State of the People tour, when you encounter people, I'm sure you might hear similar things. But what is your message to people who have that attitude?
Why? Why does it gotta be our fight? She said, regardless, it's gotta be our fight. No, it don't. No. It gotta be our fight. No, it does not. Now, what's interesting about this is that their problems gotta be our fight. It just gotta be our fight. It has to be. That's the moral thing to do, is to not leave these people hanging. It's to help these people when they're in need. Yet when it comes to our fights that they are not a part of, our fights that, that it's just us, it's just us alone, it's just our fight. When it comes to reparations, I have never heard a Hispanic commentator or a politician or anything like that say, well, we got to help the Foundation Black Americans out. That's our fight too. Unless they're trying to crowbar themselves into reparations, because they do try to do that. When it comes to us getting a hate crime bill or anything like that, any type of tangibles specifically for us, it's just us. Yet when it comes to them, we all got to fight. We all got to struggle. ICE is not our fight. These deportation struggles that they're going through is not our fight. It's got to be our fight. For what reason? These people, if we want to ignore and dismiss the huge anti-Black culture that they're coming from, which we shouldn't, but even if we want to do that, what benefit is it to us to fight on their behalf? Honestly. What benefit is it to us to fight on their behalf, knowing that given the same opportunity, they wouldn't fight on our behalf? They never do.
I'm glad you asked that. I want to give Dr. David Johns a plug here.
He's the babies.
Yes, David Johns is running our Black Papers process. The Black Papers Now I think we have over 28 Black papers that will be dropped throughout this tour. And just yesterday, our immigration paper was released. So the Black Alliance for Just Immigration spoke on our panel in Newark. I know I said yesterday, but what I meant to say was earlier this week, as Tiffany would have us to say. And so what I think is important is that, there's not a single policy area in this country that doesn't touch a Black body. Folks are like, oh, well, especially some of the folks who were just relentless on social about, well, why are we doing this? We're not immigrants. We were forced here. That is true. But many of us have in our lineage Haitian ancestry, Guyanese ancestry, some type of Caribbean ancestry, Afro-Latino ancestry, straight from the continent ancestry.
Africa.
Right.
Yes.
Because that's really what that boils down to. Even when we talk about Brazil, which was the largest receiver of enslaved people in the belly of ships. So when we think about the many layers, all the many layers, it impacts us. And even if somehow
no. There are some FBA who might have like a great grandmother who might have not been FBA. Yeah, we do have that here or there. But for the most part, no. Actually, not really, to be very honest with you. You're trying to make it seem like we have this connection in our family tree to immigration that we really don't have. And I'm not trying to say that none, but let's be honest, the ones that do, you might have a very distant uncle or very distant cousin or something like that who married into the family who was non-FBA. But besides that, no, we don't. No, we get our ancestry is foundational Black American ancestry. How is our ancestry tied to these other things? And then even if it was, let's just say it was for the sake of the argument. Let's just say it was for the sake of the argument. How is the Hispanic immigrants getting deported affecting us because our great-great-great-grandfather might have been from Haiti? Giving her argument, we're just going with her argument. How would that even tie into that? Look at the stretches and the leaps and the bounds that you're making, assuming that we even have that. Now, when I trace my family lineage, I don't see that at all. I don't see that. Okay. And a lot of you all, looking at the comments right now, a lot of you all are saying that. Okay. Our family is from here. Our family is not from other places. So what we're supposed to, because you, Angela, she might be telling on herself because you might have some non-FBAs in your family lineage, you might be a little bit more sympathetic to the struggles of immigration and to the struggles of immigrants. Okay, you might be a little bit more sympathetic to that, or really not even just sympathetic. You might be a little bit more biased to that because a lot of you all who are advocating for that, you all have ties to it. And when I say ties, your ties are a little bit more direct than like a great grandmother or something like that. Y'all might, but as far as you want to speak on us as a collective, that's not the truth. That's not the truth. I don't know why you making that up, really. And even if you weren't, like I said, even if you were not, how does that tie into us being on the front lines of illegal immigrants and fighting ICE, standing on the front lines and fighting against ICE officers so they don't get deported? Man, what are we like? Come on now, what are we doing?
Remarkably, for 5 generations, you don't have any immigrants. Let's say that's the case. You have somebody in your community who you see every day at the grocery store, or who drives the school bus, or who cleans the house, or who is the nanny of somebody's children, or who is a healthcare worker, or who is a construction worker, or who is an everyday citizen just minding their business, walking down the block. It touches you, and it is going to change the fabric of many people's neighborhoods in ways that they have no idea, so long as we continue to say, well, this doesn't apply to me. And maybe immigration doesn't apply to you, but these tariffs do. Maybe these tariffs don't apply to you, but how our healthcare does and prescription drugs cost. Like, there's no way that the oppressive regime that we now find ourselves under is not going to touch you in a very real way, especially when we say, well, the safest people that we can.
And all of that stuff does it. Okay, let's go with that. Right. Trump's policies of course as the president's policies does affect the average everyday citizen, right? Okay, cool. Let's for the sake of the argument, and this is how I like to really get them. For the sake of the argument, let's say that's 100% correct. For the sake of the argument, follow me, y'all. Follow me. Y'all know where I'm going. Follow me. Let's say for the sake of the argument, that's correct. If it's correct on the Trump side, it also has to be correct on the Harris side or the Biden side, because she didn't win. It's also correct on the Biden side. Everything that Biden does also affects us as well. So him sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, him allowing millions of immigrants to come over here illegally, bum rushing the city, creating all of this danger and straining the resources and all of that stuff, him forcing people to take certain procedures that they don't want to take. All of that stuff affects us too. Let's not make it seem like, oh, well, you know, Trump, the tariffs and all of that stuff and this and all of that stuff. Okay, all right, fine. We're not even going to argue with you on that. I don't even need to argue with you on that. If we're going to say that everything he does is wrong and it affects us, then let's just keep the same energy. I'm not even going to argue for Trump. Let's just keep the same energy. And let's compare apples to apples and say, look at everything negative Trump has done, and then look at everything negative Biden has done, and compare the two. Biden is worse. He is. It's not even arguable. It's not even arguable. Let's continue, because we still get Baraka actually does show up, but we haven't even gotten to that point yet. Oh, let me address something else too. Also, saying that, yeah, you might see an immigrant or something like that at a grocery store and all of this and all that. So we got to fight in the front lines because we see them at a grocery store. A healthcare, no, they can go home. Honestly.
Right now, we know if you're in elected office, you're in a safe place. No, not even on the soil of a private prison, right on the outside. Mayor Raz was on the outside, and I know we're going to hear from him, but on the outside of this prison and on city land, and they still found a way to say that he was trespassing. There are people who they are holding in that private prison who are allegedly in violation of their immigration status. They are painting it out. Do you guys remember that show, America's Most Wanted?
I was a producer on that show. Yes, I remember it very well.
Yeah, well, you should remember it. So, Tiff, when they used to hold up the mugshots and the music that comes on.
When y'all used to hold up the mugshot and the music.
I worked for that show. I was a producer for 5 years. Traveled the country with that show.
If you want to remind the listeners.
I just want to put it on Tiff. When y'all put them pictures up.
Whatever it is, if you want to tell the story, you can. I'm just saying, there was a dramatic effect about it. And these people have dropped us right into an episode of America's Most Wanted. Every time Kristi Noem comes on with her makeup done and a bulletproof vest, child, like that's what they're doing. They're trying to create this dramatic series of America's Most Wanted. And it is at the expense of the child who's not going to get to school the next day because they just stole her mama.
Yeah.
They're abducting humans. That's what's happening right now.
Yes.
They're abducting humans. That's how you want to word that, Angela? That's how you word deportation. Abducting humans. Now, mind you, when Obama was deporting people, you didn't have people framing it as abducting humans. When Biden, which was deporting people, because there were maybe like 2 or 3 cases where people were deported. They didn't word that. Anytime a Democrat deports people, it's not worded as abducting people. How is it abducting when you're not supposed to be here? I just want to understand that, because clearly the rules are different. Clearly the rules have changed. I'm not really sure. It's abducting when they're not supposed to be here. If somebody breaks into your house, I'm really a little bit confused. Somebody breaks into your house and you kick them out of your house, you stole them, you've abducted them. If they're not legally supposed to be in this country and they get deported, that's abduction. Even if they do have a child, and it's a tragedy for the child, and it makes the parent, to be honest, to blame, because you're putting your child in this struggle knowing that you're really not supposed to be here, and you're using this child as an anchor for this country. That's abduction. It's abduction to send somebody home. That's what they're calling it. Yet they would never call it that when the Democrats were doing it. Wow. Okay. If this isn't fear mongering, I don't know. I don't know what is.
And for what?
And shipping them to offshore torture camps. And now they're because of course, this is kind of the point that I think we're all making. It is not going to stop at migrants. So now the next conversation but
here we go. Here comes fear mongering. Here we go. It's not going to stop at migrants.
To offshore torture camps. And now they're because of course, this is kind of the point that I think we're all making. It is not going to stop at migrants. So now the next conversation but we have to tap into our humanity that we give a shit about them too. We are not big enough in this community, in this country, to fight this fight alone. And inevitably, as we as Black people always know, of course now it's coming to us because now they're in conversations with Rwanda and other countries to ship American citizens who are incarcerated to foreign countries. And who knows? And I'll be honest with you all. If I were one of these leaders
and they've been saying this for the last, to be honest, they've been saying this all year long. After the election, they've been saying this since November, that we're next to be deported. Oh my God, we're next to be deported. It's going to happen to us sooner or later. It's going to happen to us. It's going to happen to us. And they can't point out a case where that's happening. This fear mongering to get us, to force us on the front lines of the deportation struggles, the fear mongering is not happening. It's not happening. Oh, it's not just going to happen to them. Yes, it is. We are the only non-immigrants, as Dr. Claude Anderson has said. We are the only non-immigrants in this country. Everybody else is. These people came 2 years ago. My people have been here for 6-7 generations. How are you going to say we're the same and we're both going to get deported? And first off, I wish y'all would try. Deport us where? I'm telling y'all would go run into some problems that y'all don't want. Let me be correct for YouTube. Y'all gonna run into some problems if y'all thinking y'all gonna round up a bunch of FBAs and deport us. Y'all gonna run into some big problems. And I'm gonna leave it at that for YouTube. All right. But there's gonna be some big problems. But has Trump alluded to deporting us? They keep trying to reach and stretch and say we're next. Oh my God, it could happen to us. Oh my God. Has he said that? Where has he said that? Because the only thing I remember is him saying that the 14th Amendment was about slavery. Let me hold on before we go and finish what Tiffany had to say about us being deported. Remember when Trump said, and this isn't me because I know people are gonna be like, or Orange Pill gonna be like, you gonna say you're a Trump supporter. Hard. This is the only thing I can remember about us being deported. You mean to tell me this after this he's gonna deport us?
We are fighting hard to get birthright citizenship or automatic citizenship for the children of illegal aliens. That's another way. It's automatic citizenship for children of illegal aliens. That's the other term that they use, which is actually more accurate, more understandable. And it's ridiculous. We're the only country that has it, and certainly the only country that has it to that extent. And it wasn't meant, if you look, it was really meant for children of slaves. This is when it happened. The children of slaves. It was not meant for everyone to come into our country by airplane or charging across the borders from all over the world and think they're going to become citizens. It's not meant for that. It wasn't meant for that. And hopefully at some point the courts will understand that without having to go through a whole big deal. This was meant for the...
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So tell me how again we're going to get deported. Tell me that again. Okay. And let's go back to you saying that we're next to be deported. Let's go back to that. Okay. Let's go back.
I would be like, yeah, send me all your Black people in prison. Send them all because we're going to build countries. And who knows? And I'll be honest with you all. If I were because I wanted your opinion.
Okay. You guys can hear me, right? If you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up. If you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Need to know that right now. Okay. If you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. That's what I need to know. Okay, so I can be heard. Right now, I don't know what's going on with my camera. So I'm trying to get my camera to turn back on. My camera's blank right now, but you guys can hear me. So we're just gonna do this. We're gonna find a way. We're just gonna have to find a way. All right. But we are back. We are back. There is storming real bad out here, like terribly bad out here, and it knocked us out for a few seconds. I had to wait for everything to turn back on, the Wi-Fi and all of that stuff. So we're back, and we're gonna make it work. All right. So let's go where we left off. Let's go where we left off. As long as I can be heard, we're good. And I appreciate, sincerely I do, all of y'all who actually stayed. Shout out to the ones who stayed. I hope the rest come back.
And who knows? And I'll be honest with you all. If I were one of these leaders in Africa, I would be like, yeah, send me all your black people in prison. Send them all, because we're going to build an army. We will train them and build an army.
Now,
so
this is the clip I want cut. This is because, when I tell you right now, I'm going to find every leader of an African nation I can and be like, hey, we have a great idea. I stole tips. I want to start an initiative.
We have a plan.
I'm trying to tell you that
Okay, you want to start an army. And you're joking about starting an army with an African nation. Okay, yeah. Nah, no. That's not that wouldn't even be how that works. You're going to get deported to an army and then you're going to start an army with America and do what? That's not even how war works. You wouldn't want that in war. Now, I want to get to the next thing. That's the end of that clip. I want to get to the next one real fast. I'm still trying to get my camera to turn back on. Something's going on. But as long as I can be heard, we're good. Let's see. Now we're going to get to the point where they actually invite Mayor Ras Baraka on to discuss what happened.
He had this to say about the recent incident outside of the Newark ICE facility.
There will likely be more arrests coming. We actually have body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. So we will be showing that to viewers very shortly.
You say a video of members of Congress body slamming ICE
That's correct.
officials?
That's correct, sir. It's disgusting.
As much as I'm not a Democrat, and y'all know that, and they be lying and they be gaslighting and fear mongering and all of that stuff, and I'll call that out. But I also got to call out, ma'am, ICE. You're telling me that these people are body slamming? You're telling me that you got Congress people body slamming ICE agents? Now, if we're going to call out the fear-mongering from the Democrats, we're going to have to call out the fear-mongering from the Republicans, too, because I don't buy that at all. These Congress people are old. These are elderly Congress people. These aren't even young Congress people. The average Congress person is a damn senior citizen. ICE is not old. ICE literally is trained to deal with physical interactions and all of this stuff. You mean to tell me this 68-year-old is body slamming some 30-year-old ICE agent? Okay, and she said it with a straight face too. She said it with a straight face. Oh, when we find the videos,
footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. So we will be showing that to viewers very shortly.
You say a video of members of Congress body slamming ICE
That's correct.
officials?
That's correct, sir. It's disgusting.
I want to see those. I want to see that video. I want to see that video. Not a push, or not a push or a shove or a bump or even a hit. She didn't say hit. She said body slam, and she said WWE WrestleMania. You're picking them up over your shoulder and you're slamming them down on their back, body slamming them. Wow. Okay. All right now. Now, the pushing and the shoving was all you needed. Now, when you go to body slamming, that's when you start losing people, because now you're just doing a little bit too much. You're doing too much now. But they invite the mayor on, and this is what they had to say.
Girl, you lying.
Well, Andrew, just one moment. The mayor was there. The mayor was there. Mayor Rasbaracker. We have seen footage from multiple angles, and I would love to see hear about when you saw Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman lift somebody up over her head and throw him down to the ground. Do you have that footage? Have you seen that?
No, it doesn't exist.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Tiff and Andrew.
Yeah, it don't exist because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Right.
Correct.
Y'all know the first thing we would have seen on the news, had
Right.
that been true, would have been whatever that video is. But they just lie so hard, Mayor.
Completely, man. And they're so used to it. They're comfortable in lying, you know?
I'm telling you, brother, you needed this like you needed a whole.
We're back, y'all. We're back. Let's continue.
Hole in your head. You're in the middle of the race to become governor of the Democratic nominee for governor of New Jersey. I feel your heart. In some ways, I know your head. I went back and watched one of your latest debate, and your race reminds me of the 5-way primary we had down here in 2018. And if that foretells anything, brother, the future is bright. Just do it slightly differently and bring it all the way home in the general.
The future is bright because of what he's doing. He made a fool of himself. He embarrassed himself. And here's my thing. It would be one thing if he was like this for everybody. I wouldn't even have this energy. I wouldn't even be so upset if this was the case across the board. If every time you see people of color struggling, if these mayors and politicians and congressmen and congresswomen, if they were always out there on the front lines all of the time fighting for every single issue with this much energy, I couldn't even really say anything. If we've seen this energy with anything else, if we saw this same amount of energy, this same amount of I'm willing to sacrifice myself, I'm willing to get arrested, I'm willing to fight against ICE agents, I'm willing to body slam ICE agents. If we saw this type of energy with anybody or any other situation, I wouldn't even be saying anything. The issue is we don't. This type of energy is exclusive to not black. When it comes to Al Green, when it comes to folks getting arrested, when it comes to Cory Booker, when it comes to all of these things, it's always about we can crash out, we can embarrass ourselves, we can humiliate ourselves, we can break records speaking for no reason. We can do all of this stuff as long as it ain't got nothing to do with black folk. As long as it does not at all move the needle for black people, we will do anything at all. That is my issue. Because y'all are not present at all. You guys are completely absent when it comes to anything to do with us. When it comes to anything to do with us, it's a whole, we got to see, we got to wait, we got to vote, we got to have a committee, then we have to have a committee bill to fund the committee members, to have a meeting about a sit-down conversation that leads to a dialogue, that leads to the next poll, it's all this long, drawn-out red tape that we got to do, and the filibuster, and if there's one Republican that says nay, then we can't do it. It's all of these excuses, all of this waiting, all of this, we can't get nothing done for black folk. Yet when it comes to them, y'all willing to just crash out when it comes to them. That's what I don't respect. Not that I would condone you guys crashing out over them regardless, but that's what I don't respect, because this energy talking about, oh yeah, the future is bright for who? Andrew, who is the future bright for? Because it's not for us, because he ain't doing it for us.
Election. I do want to ask you, Mayor, were you taken aback when you were asked during the last debate about whether or not you'll be able to work with federal officials and law enforcement, given that you had been arrested just shortly before the debate while doing your job as the mayor of your city, inspecting this facility. Did that throw you ajar? And is that in any way representative of the way in which you run this race and the way the media has covered it?
Right. No, I mean, they love to portray us as these kind of thugs, as folks that, cannot work with folks, that we're angry, we're overly radical. And this is the reason why we can't govern and be elected. But my record in Newark is clear, what we've done.
What? Are they making it out to be that way? Are they really making it out to be that way? Or is okay, so you mean to tell me that we didn't see this video right here? You go like, yeah, so they're lying on me. They're making it seem like I'm difficult to work with. Sir, this video right here looks like you're difficult to work with. He said, yeah, they're making it seem like we don't cooperate. Sir, yeah, this video that's gone viral, it looks like you guys are a little difficult to cooperate with. It looks like you guys are difficult to work with. Y'all literally pushing and shoving and struggling physically with ICE agents. Yeah, it looks like y'all don't really cooperate with the federal government that well. Let him tell it. He was like, I don't know why people make it seem like they can't get along with us. I'm very cooperative. Yeah. The videos of you look different. All right, but all right. That's what he says.
Around public safety, reducing crime and violence by 61%. The city hasn't had this less amount of violence since John F. Kennedy was the president of the United States. I mean, we're doing a great job with community violence intervention workers, working with the police. But that's the way they try to pigeonhole us and, barricade us into their caricatures of what they think we are, So, but if you can see the video, it's clear that they let me in the gate, right?
Right.
They let me in the gate. It's like entrapment almost, right?
Yeah.
To be arrested, they let you in the gate to get arrested. Yeah, they didn't let you in, they bought you in handcuffs.
They let me in the gate, then they arrest me after I leave the gate.
Yeah. The dude set you up, as another great mayor would say. Mr. Mayor, let me ask you, we saw the footage, and first of all, we're just happy to see that you are safe and released, because so many people are not. So many people are kidnapped and being disappeared by this government, which is really frightening. We talked a bit before you joined us about the fracture in some of the communities. There are some people in the Black community who feel like, well, these, illegal ICE detentions ain't my fight. It's not my problem. And there, right. Even pre-Trump, there have been infighting among communities of color fighting for resources, which is something you would certainly confront as governor of New Jersey, given the diversity of that state. I'm curious what you would say to Black constituents who may feel like, I want you to be the governor for me. If you're taking up this fight, how can you be the governor for me? How would you counter that ill-informed sentiment?
Right, but this fight is our fight. I mean, the attack on due process is our fight. The attack on
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Okay, so she said, how would you be the governor for me if this is how you're doing it? Like I said before, and this is why, because I knew she was going to say this. This is why I said before, it would be different if he had this much energy for illegals, even though he shouldn't have this much energy at all for illegals. But just given the argument, it would be different, okay? Just given the argument, it would be different if he had this much energy for illegals, but he also had this much energy, even if it wasn't more, that much energy for reparations, or that much energy for anti-Black hate law, hate crime law. It would be that. He would be able to then make the argument like, oh yeah, you do see me on the front lines with them, but I'm not giving them any more attention than I'm giving you. He would be able to comfortably say that, but he can't say that because he's never done this when it comes to Black people. None of the Black politicians have ever crashed out on behalf of Black people, have ever done anything like this. Cory Booker standing there for 25 something hours talking nonsense, gibberish, word salad for no reason whatsoever, not mentioning reparations, not mentioning the anti-Black hate crime bill, not mentioning nothing like that. All right. It would be different if he said, the same energy that you guys see me have with them, I have with you guys too. So I'm just keeping this energy across the board. But he doesn't. He has this energy exclusively with them and says, the energy that you see me have with them also benefits you somehow. That's the argument that he makes.
if you're taking up this fight, how can you be the governor for me? How would you counter that ill-informed sentiment?
Right, but this fight is our fight. I mean, the attack on due process is our fight. The attack on the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, these are our fights. The 14th Amendment was created post-slavery. This is directly our fight. And the first people that are going to be attacked.
He said the attack on due process, first off, to be honest, we ain't never had no due process fairly in this country. We've been railroaded forever. We talk about the attack on this. It's always been under attack, and he ain't said nothing when we've been attacked. We've been facing the brunt of this. Now, and what I don't like, I'm going to say this. What I don't like is all of these struggles that they've been going through as far as, lack of due process and lack of proper procedure when it comes to the justice system. That's not new to us at all. That stuff has been happening. The only thing that they're going through that we're not going through is literally being deported. All of the other extra due process and the being roughed up by the law enforcement agents and stuff like that, that's been happening to us. Being thrown in prison and neglected in prison, that's been happening to us. So none of this stuff is new. And what I don't like is the fact that they don't acknowledge that at all, ever, up until somebody else goes through that. Now, when a Hispanic goes through some abuse in the justice system, now they want to get up there and say, there's abuse in the justice system. Didn't you guys know that? That's terrible. We got to do something. Oh, but when Jamal was going through that, when Tyrell was going through that, when Deshaun was going through that, you didn't want to say nothing about them. You didn't want to say nothing about them. But then when Javier goes through that, now you want to get up on a podium and now you want to say, do you understand? If it happens to Javier, it can happen to him. Oh, it's been happening to Trayvon for the longest time. And you ain't been saying nothing then. We've been going through all of what they claim they go through, with the exception of deportation, with no type of advocacy from these same people who want to now get up on the front lines and talk about it's going to happen to us next. The only thing that's happening to them that's not going to happen to us is deportation. So, and then you want to bring up the 14th Amendment. That's for us. Y'all losing that argument after Trump said that was for us. Y'all are the ones trying to make it seem like that's for everybody and their mama. It's the Democrats are the ones trying to make it seem like that's for everybody and their mama. That's why y'all losing the 14th Amendment argument. It's not an attack on the 14th Amendment. Y'all the ones abusing the 14th Amendment, if we're going to be honest.
The Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, these are our fights. The 14th Amendment was created post-slavery. This is directly our fight. And the first people.
No, it's not. Oh, okay. Lord, and I'm gonna have to. If this is our fight, because we've had all these amendments and stuff like that. If this is our fight because an attack on that and an attack on that amendment and an attack on, then shouldn't they be fighting on behalf of us getting reparations? Shouldn't they be fighting on behalf of us getting specific hate crime bills, intangibles in our community, and resources and opportunities and all of this stuff? If it's our responsibility and our quote unquote fight to help them out on their behalf, it should also be on the other way. It should also be their responsibility to come and help us out, right, in our struggles, because we're not going to benefit by them not being deported. They should benefit. We're helping them because in some way we're tied. Let's say that in some way we're all tied. We're all connected. Okay. So if we're connected to their issue and we got to be on the front lines for them, that means they should be connected to our issue and they should be on the front lines for us. But we don't see that, with the exception of the times where they think that they can crowbar themselves into our claims and get some type of benefit for themselves. But on behalf of fighting for us alone, we don't see them present at all, ever. We don't see them present. Let's continue.
That are going to be attacked the minute we allow them to erode the Fourth and Fifth Amendment is us. We have already been attacked. What this does is open the door and leave us more vulnerable than it did already. We have to fight for people who are struggling around the same things we're struggling around. And we have to see our commonality there. And it's up to us as leaders, as writers, as journalists, as folks out in the front, to explain that to people so they can understand clearly that this fight is our fight.
No, it ain't. It's not our fight. No, it's not our fight, and this is why the Democratic Party is losing. This is why, and we're gonna keep saying it because y'all just not getting it. This is why she lost. She lost because your party sucks. You all suck as a party, as a political party. You guys do. You guys have let down your main constituents. You guys suck. This guy is sitting up there acting like it's all our fight and we all need to fight together and struggle together. Oh, no, it's not. No, it is not our fight. And all of this fear mongering that you guys are doing and trying to make it seem like you guys are all tied. That's not our fight. It's not. And y'all can lie all y'all want to. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because we don't feel like it's our fight. Because we know it's not. These people are anti-black, first off. These people come from anti-black cultures that have incredibly strict caste system. They hate dark skin. They hate nappy hair. They hate big noses. They hate full lips. They hate all that stuff. They can't stand that stuff where they come from. And they carry that energy and they bring it up here. So, and this is not something that they even deny. They admit to this. They all do. They admit to this. And they come up here and then they tell us that we have the same fights and the same struggles. No, we don't. And like I keep saying, the problem with this is that you are not fighting on behalf of everybody. You're fighting on behalf of one group of people who are legally not supposed to be here. All this due process and this amendment and that amendment for people who are not citizens of this country. Mind you, they're illegal. You're doing all of this and fighting for somebody who is illegal here. You're not fighting for everybody. You're fighting for one group of people, and yet you're telling us, the people who you should be fighting for, we are the people who you are owed, okay? You owe us, okay? You owe us. You don't owe them nothing, okay? You're not supposed to be helping them really at all, but you owe us. We are the reason, first off, us and our fight are the reason that there are any black politicians anyway. We are the ones who need to be helped. First off, we're the ones who need to be helped the most. And we're the only reason why there are any black politicians or even non-white politicians in America in the first place. So we're the ones who are owed the most by the government, by everybody. Yet we're ignored and we're told to jump on the bandwagon, and he's saying, I'm not going to fight for everybody. I'm going to fight and crash out and sacrifice myself and degrade myself to fight for one group of people, but by proxy, I'm fighting for everybody else. Yeah, we ain't buying that. We're not buying that. The only time we've seen you in handcuffs is on a detention center fighting on behalf of illegal immigrants. It would be one thing if you were going to the local jails and you're seeing how they're treating black folk, black teenagers. It would be one thing if this was really how you advocate. If you were going to the hospitals because you want to do a job checking up on everything and making sure everything is everything. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. It would be one thing if you were going to these hospitals and you were saying, why is there so high? Why is there such a high rate of maternity death? Why do black women die at such higher rates than white women during childbirth and in the babies as well too? Why is that going on? Why are black children, why are black boys being abused in these schools at a higher rate than everybody else? Why is that going on? If you were on that type of page, then maybe I wouldn't be so upset with you sitting up there crashing out over illegals. But we ain't seen you step foot in a school to talk about the neglect that goes on when it comes to black children in school. We ain't seen you step foot in a hospital to talk about the neglect that goes on in these hospitals. We ain't seen you step foot in a community center or nothing like that, but we see you breaking into a damn detention center to look out for illegal immigrants and talk about how we all got the same struggle. Sir, you can miss me with that. You can miss me with that. No. We're just not doing that. No. This is why y'all lost. why y'all lost, and the Democratic Party ain't getting it together. They're not getting it together. Because, I mean, this is several months after the election, and y'all still on the same dumb energy. Let me get to the super chats. Orange Pill Nurse, Lord, oh, here she go again, says, FBA set out. Now here come white self-Afrikaners with reparation package in free farmland. You showed them Dems, Afro Elite. Okay, we might have to talk about the white South Africans in another live stream. But here's the thing. According to you, ma'am, immigrants boost the economy. With that argument, you were just advocating that here. Hold on now. Come on. You were just advocating that immigrants boost the economy. So how you get mad at me that white South Afrikaners are coming? Either you are against immigration or you're not. So what's going on now? But we're going to have to talk about the South Afrikaners coming in another live stream, because I do have thoughts on that. So we will have to talk about that at a later time. All right. Alonda says, AEW body slamming Democrats. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They out here whooping ass and taking names. Hold on.
And she had this to say about the recent incident outside of the Newark ICE facility.
There will likely be more arrests coming. We actually have body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. So we will be showing that to viewers very shortly.
Can you say a video of members of Congress body slamming ICE
That's correct.
officials?
That's correct, sir. It's disgusting.
Oh, wow. I just want to see that. I just want to see it. I do. And this channel does not promote violence. Okay. It doesn't promote violence to ICE agents. It doesn't promote violence to congressmen and women. I just, for educational and journalistic purposes, would like to see the video of a congressperson body slamming an ICE agent. I just think that would be educational. Yeah, it would be educational. Sadaiku says, for decades, illegal immigrants have been getting free housing, all caps, free housing, healthcare, and education before they even earned a penny freely, eating off of FBA dime. That's true. That's 100% true. This is why Chicago is in the situation it's in, why New York is in the situation it's in, why all these other cities are in the situation it's in. They're coming over here. They're getting set up nicely. Do you think that them coming over here, and you think that the hotels that they're staying in, you think that that's just free? You think hotels run freely? You think the electricity and the water and all of that stuff run freely? You think that that stuff is free? You think that the food that they eat 3 times a day, you think that that's free? They are sitting up there. You think the checks that they're getting checks, debit cards, paid by tax dollars from the citizens. That's people ain't just sitting on money. That stuff is coming out of a budget paid by taxpayers that they've been doing. They're not contributing. They're making it seem like the economy is going to crash with deportation. No, we're not even going to do that. No, we're not. We're not going to do that. We're not going to play that game. We're not doing that. Okay? Them sitting up there trying to tie us. That is it. It is our struggle. It is our struggle. Sir, dude. Okay. It's not. It's not. And there's nothing that you can say that's going to make us believe that. There's nothing you can say that's going to make us feel that way about it. Y'all. ICE is out here doing what they supposed to be doing. This is what America voted for. Now, I'm going to give my brief commentary. Briefly, because I'm still looking into the situation with the South Afrikaners going on and some refugees coming. First off, I want to say, for the record, we don't know, or at least I don't know officially how many of them are coming over. Okay? Don't know how many of them are coming over. The reason that they're coming over is because South Africa, there's, stuff going on in South Africa, and they're getting all of the, because they're really colonizers. So they're getting all of the colonizers out, which should have been done a long time ago. Better late than never. It's good that they're getting them out. I'm glad that South Africa is reclaiming their land and reclaiming, what belongs to them. That's good for them. Okay. I have nothing but respect for that. Okay. They've been working on that for a minute and they're accomplishing that. And it's about time that they get those colonizers out. That's good for them. Okay. They handling their business the way they're supposed to. Nothing but respect for that. So you got South Afrikaners like Elon Musk and all of that stuff who are now pressing the panic button because they don't have rule and supremacy over them. So now they're coming over here. Okay. All right. Okay. They're coming over here. When people say things like, oh, well, now they're white South Afrikaners coming over here, ma'am, these Hispanics coming over here, they're no more akin, they're no more friends to black folk than these white Afrikaners. Okay, they're all the same. Y'all would, oh yeah, well now Trump bringing over the white ones. So what? They all immigrants. They all the same. They all dislike FBA the same way. The South Afrikaners dislike FBA no more than these Hispanic immigrants do. So it's like replacing one for another. And if you go by the numbers, I'm almost sure, not 100% sure yet, so I don't want to say, but I'm almost sure it's going to be less than about 4, 5, 6 million of them coming over here. I'm almost very sure it's going to be less South African refugees coming over here than it was illegal immigrants coming over here. I'm very sure of that. Another thing, because we're comparing apples to apples, we're being completely logical, and I'm not here championing for them to be refugees coming over here. I'm not doing that whatsoever. But I'm saying y'all making it seem like it's the same thing. I promise you it's not. And I'm going to say something else. I can almost guarantee you they're not coming into our neighborhoods. I can almost guarantee you it's probably not going to be hundreds of thousands of them flooded into New York City, hundreds of thousands of them all up in Chicago, hundreds of thousands of them in Denver, and hundreds of thousands of them in black areas. I can almost guarantee you it's not going to play out like that, because it didn't play out like that with the Ukrainian immigrants. We didn't even really see their presence there. Okay. I can almost guarantee you that a lot of the problems when it comes to the cities handling them is going to be different. Also, on top of all of this stuff, I can also say that with him bringing them over there, Trump is more than likely, and I'm not going to champion it, but Trump is more than likely going to use the federal government to subsidize them coming over. So that's not going to put the same type of strain on the city's resources that the Biden administration did, because the Biden administration did not use the federal money to help subsidize and to maintain all of the illegal immigrants that were in these major cities. Y'all following, right? Because he allowed them to go into Chicago, New York, and then say, hey, y'all deal with it. I gave y'all a stimulus package 2 years ago. Y'all make it work. Y'all deal with it. I don't think Trump is going to do that when it comes to South Afrikaners. So I don't think the struggle is going to be the same. Not saying, because some people are like, oh my God, you want them over here? I can't believe you would say that. No, I'm not. I don't want them over here. No, I don't. Do they need to be refugees here? No. I'm not championing them coming over here. I'm not defending them coming over here. The narrative that they're out here being slaughtered by the native South Africans, that's not true. They've been trying to say that thing for years now. That's not true. We know that's not true. There's, you know what? I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know if I want to do it. I'm going to have, you know what? I'm going to definitely be talking about this. Yeah, I'm going to definitely be talking about this next week. Because I got some things I want to set up for it. So I'm going to be talking about this next week. Okay. In more depth. because I'm thinking to myself, there's some clips I want to play and there's some information I want to pull up that I don't have ready. So I'm be looking for stuff, and I don't really want to do that, or whatever the case. So I will be talking about it later. As far as it goes, shout out to the South Afrikaners, for the South Africans, for doing that. Shout out to them. Okay, standing on your business in your homeland like you supposed to. I got nothing but respect for that. That's good. You in your homeland, you got invaders in your homeland, you got colonizers in your homeland, and you working and you getting them out and you replacing them with their natives. Nothing but respect for that. Nothing. I shout out to them. I definitely want to say that. In your homeland, handling your business. All right. Do you see how much respect that you get by doing? Let me just highlight this real quick. Do you see how much respect you get by handling your business in your homeland? This is why, even though Foundation Black Americans are envied by everybody else, we are also really respected. They're very jealous of us, but in a way, they do have to respect us, because we're in our homeland, standing on our business for our lineage. And everybody got to give us respect, because there's a level of honorability in being in your homeland, standing on your business, making the sacrifices and fighting the struggle that you need to fight for your people. That is honorable. That is respectable. That is very commendable. Just how we're doing right here, standing on our business every single week. We sit up there talking about reparations, and we sit up there talking against white supremacy, and we're speaking information, we're speaking truth to power. We're doing that on the regular basis all the time. That's us standing on our lineage business. That's honorable. That's respectable. Now, the people might not like it, but they gotta respect it. You don't have to like it to respect it, because we're speaking truth to power here. It's respectable. It's also respectable that I can't remember his name. It slips me right now, but there's like a South African leader who's, he's in the government now. He's getting them out. All of the white colonizers, he's getting them out, and he's, returning the land to their rightful owners. That's respectable. I don't get nothing but respect for that. In your homeland, handling your business. Hey, how can you not respect it? How can you not respect that? You know what I'm saying? You see how you see how we're leading this trend of not fleeing? I just want to say that. Okay. And this isn't even to take shots, but now you're seeing, and I'm not trying to take shots or anything like that. I want you guys to really understand where I'm coming from. But the fact that we're here, the fact that we've officially let it be known we're not going anywhere, we are owed something in this country. And the fact that they've seen us fight, they've seen us struggle, they've seen us work consistently every single day, waking up, doing the same thing, and we're pushing the needle for reparations. Now reparations is not just in the national lexicon, it's in the global lexicon now. Now you're seeing other countries be all like, hey, you know what? Now that I think about it, this government owes me reparations too. Now they're seeing that all of these now our reparations movement has become global. Now everybody else is all like, hey, I'm seeing the FBAs, they fighting for their reparations. Now I think about it, the French government owes me reparations. So now you're starting to see the momentum in the conversation of reparations go global. Now you got Jamaica fighting for their reparations. Shout out to them for that. I hope they get it. You got Haitians doing that. You got South Africans doing that. They talking to the British and all of that stuff. And now you're seeing us lead this way in the trend that we've been setting. Everybody else is following behind that. That's good. That's the way justice is produced. Okay. We as Foundation Black Americans, we have set this domino effect off, and now everybody else is starting to fall in line the way things are supposed to be. Okay, it's been a minute and we're not there yet. I don't want us to feel like we're there yet. We're not there yet, but I want us to take this moment and to reflect on the progress that we have made, because we have made progress. They be saying stuff like, oh, y'all only online, y'all not making no progress, y'all be just talking online. No, we're not. We're making progress, not just for us, but the progress we're making, it's inspiring other people to follow in our footsteps, like all of our movements have done. All right. That's why every single movement you've seen since the civil rights movement of the 1960s mimic the civil rights movement of the 1960s, because our fight is so unique and so pure and righteous, everybody else has to follow suit. That's just the way it's going to be. So you gotta, by us handling our business and standing firm with bravery and courageousness, fighting against our oppressors, that is starting to show people that your oppressors are not invincible. And by showing people, because that's what we've been doing, by showing people that your oppressors are not invincible, everybody else is starting to fight against their oppressors too. They're following behind what we've been doing, the trail that we've been setting. So this is the way, this is how the world starts to heal and fix itself. So for you all, shout out to the South Africans. FBA, pat yourself on the back for me. Do me a good favor and pat yourself on the back for being the trailblazers that's leading the world in a path of justice. Pat yourself on the back, because y'all deserve it. All right, y'all deserve it. Let me get you another super chat. There's my brother William says, South Africa is not sending their best and brightest. These people have high incest and domestic rates, and are middle class if lucky. Yeah, that's true. That's true, and that is very true. And I will be talking about that a little bit later on. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be talking about that a little bit later on next week, because there's some clips and stuff like that I want to play that I just don't have ready right now, because we have a different subject to discuss. Then the storm knocked me out and stuff, but we will be discussing that later on. All right. But I appreciate your family. Yes, FBA, absolutely. Pat yourself on the back, because what we've been doing is been leading the trail and giving the purest example of justice the world has seen. And now everybody else is getting on board. And everybody else getting on board, that also strengthens us. Okay, it strengthens our movement. All right, because and we'll talk about this a little bit later, it strengthens our movement because it lets it be known how powerful and influential our movement is. By other people following behind in our footsteps, it shows to the public that what we're saying is not going in this echo chamber and is going in one ear and out the other ear. What we're saying is resonating. By other people invoking the talking points and the verbiage of Foundation Black Americans, it's letting it be known to the public that, yeah, what we're saying is influential. What we're saying has influence, regardless of what you guys are saying. Y'all can call us Russian bots, y'all can call us trolls, y'all can say whatever y'all want to say, but clearly other people are following. So with letting us be known how influential we are, that's also pushing the needle forward. So it is a benefit. All right. So it is, and that's good. That's good. But with that being said, my brothers and my sisters, I appreciate every single last one of y'all. If you guys haven't gotten the notifications, some people say they don't, you guys should be following me on my various social media platforms. That's Afro Elite on Instagram, and then the Afro Elite on Twitter. Links in the description. Also, I would greatly appreciate if you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Let me see. I think I got a Cash App from the trivia. Thank you so very much, family. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for the Cash Apps. I also got a text from ComEd about the storm. Y'all a little late, but okay. Thank you very much, family. Appreciate you guys. Like I said, Foundation Black Americans, we're leading the way. Anybody tell you we don't make a difference, anybody tell you we're just online, ask everybody else in the world how we don't make a difference. And we'll see what they say. We'll see what they say. Now, with that being said, family, be one to every single last one of you all. Y'all stay safe. Y'all stay blessed.